The Iranian Air Force is no more. Built for 1996, destroyed in 2026. The Iranian Navy rests at the bottom of the Persian Gulf. Combat ineffective, decimated, destroyed, defeated, pick your adjective. In fact, last night, we sunk their prize ship, the Soleimani. Looks like POTUS got him twice.
Oh, President of the United States got Qasem Soleimani twice. First, Qasem Soleimani himself, and then the Iranian warship named for Qasem Soleimani, a mass murderer and terrorist. The Democrats were very angry when President Trump killed the terrorist Qasem Soleimani, the Iranian kill machine. But you know why. You know why. Well, a very happy Wednesday, too, and welcome back once again. A happy hump day to the Clinton family, and of course, a happy mailbag day to all of our great American listeners and listeners from around the world. I have the mailbag queries. They're like questions, but more fun than that. In front of me, I have them in my hand, and the mailbag. Can I get to them this hour? We will have to see. But we've got a lot going on. We've got a hearing going on Capitol Hill, in addition to war against Iran and war between. And look, and let me be clear about this. We have been in a state of undeclared war, and Iran has been in a state of undeclared war against us. We have been in a state of undeclared war with Iran since 1979. 47 years, a state of undeclared war has existed between the Islamic Revolution, the Islamic Republic, that's Iran, led by Ayatollahs, first Khomeini, then Khamenei, and Khamenei no more, Khomeini no more. When the old Ayatollah Khomeini, when he died, boy, the mob tore his body to shreds and ripped pieces of his beard off and stuff. There are still people that have a framed piece of his beard on the wall at home. Say, oh, yes, I was there. And we got that going on. And the jihadis in charge of Iran have been waging war against us. Marine Corps barracks, 1983, Hezbollah, a proxy, a subsidiary of the Islamic Revolution in Tehran, and on, the hostages, the decapitations, the murders, the war, the standing up, the militias from the Hezbollah to Hamas. We saw October 7th, Israel, the Houthis who are choking and attacking ship travel. The free travel of shipping is very important to global trade. And they've got enough power to disrupt that and kill people and blow things up. But a state of asymmetric warfare has existed between the United States and Iran since 1979. A low-level asymmetric war has been ongoing between our two nations since 1979, at least, and certainly 1979. And it's like, Mohammad Mossadegh, we're the bad guys. We caused all the... Yeah. The Ayatollahs might have taken over around the time of Mohammad Mossadegh, had things not changed there. Oh, and the terrible Shah. And the Shah, it's a tough region of the world. A lot of things going on in Iran, and the Shah was tough. Shah, the king, the monarch, Pahlavi, and he was tough and hard as nails. It's a tough part of the world. You want to stay, and it's been this way for 4,000 years in Persia. Since they were waging war against the Greeks in the Mediterranean, it's been a tough lot. There is no doubt about that. But the state of asymmetric warfare has existed for 47 years at a bare minimum. And President Trump is looking, they've been terrorizing the world, and they have been terrorizing the world, from the hostages at the American Embassy on November 4th, 1979, to blowing up Jewish rec centers in Buenos Aires because Jews were playing ping pong in peace. So naturally, they had to be killed. It's a dangerous, psychotic, racist, genocidal death machine, the Islamic Revolution in Tehran. And President Trump, has decided the status quo will no longer suffice. We have to stop raising our children in a world where we have to explain to them that radical Islamists are angry about whatever, and they're going to kidnap and rape and murder and torture and kill and blow things up throughout your entire lifetime, kids. So just get used to it. and know that, and if you're a Democrat, you say, and know that it's all our fault. Never mind that it's been going on since before the Declaration of Independence, but never mind that. The warfare just took a big shift. The asymmetric low-level warfare changed dramatically when President Trump made a decision to take out the leadership, including the Ayatollah himself. And now there's, well, a lot of uncertainty in the short-term future, and probably when it comes to radical Islam for the more long-term future as well. Now, on a different note altogether, and there are a lot of different notes to get to because there's a lot going on, we've got Jasmine Crockett news, and we've got the plot to kill President Trump. Iran was behind that one. And we've got Sadie Hawkins Day. You remember Sadie Hawkins Day, right? And that's when girls ask boys to go to the dance or whatever, right? Isn't that it, Sadie Hawkins? I was never a child, so I'm not familiar with all of these simple pleasantries. But I got to get to the Sadie Hawkins story. But there's a Minnesota. You may know Minnesota. It's one of our 50 states, and they've got a governor, Tim Walz, and a radical extremist left-wing jihadi, which makes no sense, but leave it to the left, Keith Ellison, the attorney general in the state, and they're testifying on Capitol Hill today, the House of Representatives. Tim Walz, the governor, and Keith Ellison, the attorney general, testify before the House of Representatives on Minnesota fraud. So Minnesota Governor Tim Walz, a Democrat, State Attorney General Keith Ellison, a Democrat, will testify Wednesday morning, that's today, before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee over the state's welfare fraud scandal. Now, the House Oversight Chair, James Comer, he's been busy lately, previously called on Walz and Ellison to provide any records, documents, and communications regarding the welfare fraud for investigators, and he invited them in December to testify. Boy, a lot's happened in Minnesota since December. I had an awful lot. Comer, the chairman, also requested all relevant suspicious activity reports from the Treasury Department, along with transcribed interviews with current and former Minnesota state officials as part of the investigation. Turns out these two guys knew about the fraud going back to 2019 because whistleblowers have come forward to reveal to the government officials that there was an enormous amount of fraud going on there, stealing billions and billions of our money, of our tax dollars. But that's okay. And this morning, it was the Congressman Jim Jordan was on the television this morning, and he's in the committee. He's on the committee and he's in the hearing, and he's having none of this stuff. Jim Jordan this morning talking about Minnesota fraud and the Democrats that facilitated it.
Understand, 98 people have already been indicted in all these various fraud programs where they went from a couple $1 million of taxpayer money being used for some program to within 2 or 3 years, hundreds of millions of dollars. That example was supposed to be feeding kids, giving kids meals at schools. Problem was there were no kids, no meals. They were just stuffing money in their pockets. 98 people have already been indicted. 85 of those individuals are Somali Americans. So this was about politics. This was about not offending a voting bloc that the Democrats count on in that state. And that is that's why they look the other way and allow this stuff to happen. And I think that's what we have to expose to the American people.
Praise the jihad, as they chant at the Democratic National Convention. Now, wait a minute. What do we hear there? These fraud programs, they're all about feeding kids. Only problem is there were no kids and there were no meals. So they weren't feeding kids. It was all a lie. It was all a sham. It was all a scam. 98 people have been indicted, and coincidentally, random selection, 85 of them Somalis brought into the country by the Lutheran Church, some by the Catholic Church, and then turned into a power base by the Democrats because they want to have no-go zones like they have in Paris now, where you can't go there because the Muslims will kill you, and they have Sharia law and all that good stuff. In fact, I think Texas just banned Sharia law, didn't they? Because Texas, they've got a growing number of mosques, hundreds of mosques, brand new mosques in Texas. And the whole mosque lifestyle, Sharia law may not go with the Texas way of life. But good stuff by Jim Jordan. 98 people indicted fraud on these programs, tax money, our tax dollars, hundreds of millions, nay, billions. 98 people indicted, 85 of them Somali Americans, he said. But the Democrats said, well, we don't want to do anything about it. This is a voting block for us. You know, the jihad vote is a vote that the Democrat Party has locked up because they love death and violence and mayhem and kidnapping. They love all the blood stuff because they're the left. And how many people have they shot in the name of their politics in the last few years? And what have they blown up? And how many people have burned alive because the Democrat Party just in the last few years in the United States? Aren't they amazing? Jim Jordan lays it out there. Pretty good stuff. 85 out of 98 are Somali Americans involved in the fraud cases, the indictments, and the Democrats shrug and say, "Well, you're a racist." No, I just don't like being robbed at gunpoint every day of the year. The Democrats are okay with that. Congressman Jim Jordan, well, why didn't the Democrats do anything?
Politics drove this thing. There was also a racial discrimination lawsuit brought against Minnesota, and they said, oh, we don't want that. After all, this is a voting bloc of the Democrat Party. We're going to continue to send the money out. Even after they stopped it, they restarted it because they were nervous about the racial discrimination lawsuit that was coming. So that's the key that took place here, and that's what I think the country needs to understand.
And that's what the country needs to understand. I think that's true. That would be good if we had a news media that covered stories like this. That'd be very helpful, I think. But I don't think we can depend on them to pick up the mantle on that, can we? All right, and we have war against Iran, and the Ayatollah killed. I've got to say that surprised me. Going that big, I saw it and I was thinking military operation. You go after the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, the IRGC, go after the leadership of the police units that hopefully intelligence inform you they're the ones behind slaughtering 30,000 Iranians or 35,000 Iranians. That's kind of a big massacre. That's, the Democrats at Jonestown, about 900 people died at Jonestown, kind of big deal. They slaughtered maybe 35,000 in the last handful of weeks in Iran, bare minimum perhaps 25,000. And the Democrats, they're like, oh, that's okay. They can do that. That's their rice bowl. Why would we care about that? And I personally care about that. I think having regimes like that loose on the planet when they lash out and kill everybody, infidels and the Jews, and they're genocidal and they're working on nuclear weapons and enriching uranium. I got a good soundbite or two on that, too. They continue to enrich uranium. Barack Obama funded them. But setting that aside, let's go back to the telephones, Michael. Let's go to Steve calling from Aldie, Virginia. Stephen, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris.
Steve.
Great talking to you, my friend.
What do you say, buddy?
I spent 2 years aboard the USS Midway, 79 to 81. Happened to be in that area, but we had a president who didn't feel like we could do anything to stop this.
Yeah.
I'm glad we finally have a president to do something about this.
Yeah.
It's refreshing, you could say.
Yeah, well, it's a big deal. It really, this alters the course of human history.
It does. And I am proud to say I was aboard the Midway. I did my job well. And I was disappointed when Carter didn't let us do our job, especially when you have three carriers out there who are just chomping at the bit to do something.
Yeah.
And he just kind of sat on his hands and, he was a goof.
He was a goof.
And that's how most of us felt.
Well, sure, yeah. And he's Jimmy Carter. Yeah, and the Midway, an aircraft carrier, of course, U.S. Navy aircraft carrier.
Great museum, by the way.
Yeah, it's
great museum.
Museum in San Diego.
Brother, I'll be out there in September.
Is that right?
For the reunion.
Is that right? For a Midway crew reunion? That's cool.
Yeah. I'm the vice president of the Midway Veterans Association.
Is that right?
Yeah, I got to be there.
That is, yeah, obviously. You got to bring the beer. Come on.
Exactly. And the chips.
Now, how many Americans served on the Midway over the years? I'm going to guess like 30,000.
I would say so. I mean, it was commissioned in 45.
Wow.
We definitely got our money's worth out of her.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah, and the whole evolution of carrier life, you could see it on the Midway, from straight deck to angle deck to catapults to,
Yeah, World War II.
line jets.
World War II vintage carrier. It was around till, I think, probably till we had Nimitz-class carriers, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, she got decommissioned and right after the first Gulf War, 92, 93.
Wow, holy cow, man. That's a long life on a ship of any kind, aircraft carrier.
When you go out to see your brother in San Diego, go aboard her. They did a beautiful job cleaning her up. Beautiful ship.
That is great. Steve, Vice President of the Association. That's great. Steve, fun call. Thank you. I'm saluting you. You can't see it, but I'm saluting you right now. I forgot to say.
I feel it, brother. I'm
just saluting you. Thank you, Steve. And, yeah, when you're going to San Diego, let me know. I'll see if my brother can do a TV story on you.
September 13th through the 17th.
All right, buddy. All right. Thank you for the call. God bless America, and God save us all. You know Sadie Hawkins Day? You know what Sadie Hawkins Day is? Sadie Hawkins Day is an American tradition. It started in the 1930s, I think. And it's at school, you have boys and you have girls. Back then, they only had boys and girls. Now we have boys and girls and Democrats that are completely screwed up in the head. But Sadie Hawkins Day, it's a day at school usually where girls will chase boys, that they will ask boys to the school dance. They'll ask boys out on a date. It's Sadie Hawkins Day, and the boys say, "Oh wow, it's Sadie Hawkins Day. The nice girl is inviting me out for something real nice. Isn't that great?" Well, in New York, it's a little bit different today. Here is the New York Post story: Girl 11 stabs boy 12. Girl 11 stabs boy 12 inside New York City middle school. Cops say, because that's it. An 11-year-old girl stabbed a 12-year-old boy inside her Bronx middle school on Monday. Isn't that good? That's just great. The girl allegedly slashed the boy in the left arm with a kitchen knife minutes after 11 a.m. inside IS 218 on Girard Avenue near East 167th Street in Concourse. But there it is. Sadie Hawkins Day isn't what it used to be. The Democrats have updated it. Now it's Felony Assault Day, but it's feminist. Feminists are marching with the Ayatollah's people in Washington because they're feminists. They don't know what that word means, but they're kind of fun. And I do this, girl 11 stabs boy 12 inside New York City middle school, the police say. And they point out, the New York Post points out, that the girl, the 11-year-old girl, was taken into custody, and the boy, the 12-year-old boy, was taken to the hospital. And the Sadie Hawkins dance is this Friday, so stay tuned for that. Isn't that great? 11-year-old girl stabbed 12-year-old boy. Their Bronx school. And they can't do math either. That's really the thing. His assailant was taken into custody, the sources said. The violence stemmed from a past incident that boiled over between the two middle schoolers. How old can the incident be? A past incident, the 11-year-old. And the school for children doesn't have metal detectors, but now they're going to have to get them. And I got to say, one of the great things about this New York Post piece, and the comments afterward are pretty funny, although tragic and sad at the same time. One of them, Dexter Live, said, the entire real estate market in this country is based on how far away can I get from these people without having a 3-hour drive to work every day. And for any New York resident not on food stamps, gather your loved ones and leave now before it's too late. This is not a drill. Honestly, 11-year-old girls are now stabbing 12-year-old boys in school. And is an 11-year-old in middle school normally? Is that normally middle school? I guess it's sixth grade, middle school. Okay. I don't, as I said, I didn't have a childhood. So, and yeah, there we go. There it is. And somebody here, R. Kelly, I think it's a different R. Kelly, though, said, sadly, and once again, we're presented with another opportunity to have a national conversation about common sense knife control. Sure. And where were the New York City Democrats' violence interrupters? Got to have interrupters, got to have violence interrupters. So that's just great stuff. And from which diverse culture that makes us stronger do they come? Yeah, that's a fair question, too, because diversity is our strength. And it leads to a lot of stab wounds and gunshot wounds, but at least it's diverse. All right, let's go to a telephone call. Miguel, let's go to Tom, calling from Clearwater, Florida, beautiful Clearwater, Florida. Thomas, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Chris, I have tried, and I feel like I'm talking to radio royalty. I want to thank you for the entertainment, but more importantly, all the jobs that you've had. If there's a guy that's meant to do what you're doing, it's you. And I appreciate your humor, your quick wit. Yesterday, I got an impromptu lesson in Farsi and Persian language to boot.
Well, I tell you, we have Jasmine is here today. She's actually an expert in Farsi and Persian language, among other languages, for that matter. Well, you're very, very kind, Tom. I just, I'm just stumbling my way through life, and I just look at the world as it is and try to tell the truth about it and to make fun of it.
Well, you have a crystal clear vision. I listen to Rush Limbaugh, and there's a couple of guys in the afternoons that are on, but nobody has your wit and information. And I find myself belly laughing just at just a whim to have the wit that you have. And I remember fondly 30 years ago watching CBS News and hearing Bill Plante, CBS News correspondent. So I remember that, and you had an interesting life, and I'd like to go on one of your cruises and get to meet you, but I just wanted to thank you. It means a lot to have somebody like-minded that can articulate. I can speak a lot, but articulation is probably not one of my strong points, but I appreciate somebody like you that delivers the word. Thanks for what you do for the country, and I'm sure your brothers and everybody's, and your stepdad and your real dad would be very proud of what you're doing.
Well, you're very kind. You're really very generous. That's the nicest thing that's ever been said to me in my life, I think. That's very nice. Thank you very much. And you're right. My stepfather, Bill Plante, was a CBS News reporter for 52 years, network news the whole time. And this was a topic of discussion a couple of days ago, actually, because he was dispatched to Iran when the Shah was falling and when the embassy was taken and all of that good stuff. And he had been in and out of Iran a little bit before that. And he got to do lots of fun travel himself. And he covered, he was in dispatched to Vietnam 4 times during the war, into the 67 war in Israel, the 73 war in Israel, and then 79 to Tehran for the fall of the Shah and the Ayatollahs taking over. He got to cover a lot of interesting stuff himself. And it's true that opened my eyes at a very early age. I think a lot of that to what was going on in the world, and lit a little bit of a fire under me to pay attention to what was going on in the world. And my mother had been in the television news business and in the radio business from the time she was 7 years old in New York, because her father was in the radio business from the time he came home from World War I. And when I was a kid, my mother was on television. My grandfather was on television. WISN in Milwaukee. And then stepfather came along, Bill Plant. He started on WISN in Milwaukee, and then we moved to New York so he could go on the Walter Cronkite, moved back to New York so he could go on the Walter Cronkite show. And I've kind of been stuck with this media thing from birth, even before birth. I think this whole media thing was there. And I got to tell you, Tom, that the one thing that I knew growing up, the one thing I knew I didn't want to do was go into the news business. I didn't know what I did want to do, but I knew that I didn't want to go into the news business, and I certainly didn't want to go into television. And I never thought, hey, I'll go into radio. My whole life has been an accident. But Tom, I learned to be kind of a wise ass in Catholic school, and I was kicked out of Catholic school after third grade. So, but all my brothers went to Catholic school, and we all had the Catholic school kind of wise ass attitude.
Well, what a rich past you've had. And again, just thanks a lot, and know that a lot of people out here appreciate what you do. And I noticed some of them were mad about you not being on Newsmax, but I remember Rush Limbaugh talking about getting in early to do show prep. It just doesn't happen. You and your staff have done a good job, and I appreciate it from the bottom of my heart.
Well, you're very, very kind. Thank you. I'll look forward to seeing you on the high seas when you can get around to that, Tom. Thank you very kindly.
Thanks a lot.
Very nice call. I'm gonna take this recording and bring it home to my best girl.
Okay.
I'm gonna play it for her. Thanks a lot. Thanks, man. I'm gonna have to share that with family members or something like that. It was very nice. Thank you, Tom. That was just great. That's the whole media thing is crazy. And my brother Daniel, TV news reporter, San Diego, California, and decades he's been around the country from Austin, Texas, and Midland, Texas, being a TV news reporter, where he started in Midland, Texas, and Austin and Portland, Maine, and San Diego. He really loves San Diego. That's great stuff. And he always wanted to be a TV reporter. Me, I just wanted to, I don't know. I won't even say what I'm thinking. I wanted, I didn't want to do any of that stuff. But I'm having a great time. I've been having the time of my life. I certainly have. Yes, sir. Really. And I got into all this news stuff. I was like, what's going on? And then I'm having a riot. Hey, here I am. Saudi Arabia riding camels. I got a scimitar. And it's great. This is wonderful. Yes. All right. Now we haven't done a lot. Thank you, Tom. Thank you very much. We haven't done a lot on the president spoke yesterday about the war in Iran and all that good stuff. Let's go to our audio sound bites, shall we, Michael? And I think we begin with numero uno, as they say at the DNC. President Trump yesterday talking about how we're doing with this war against Iran, which is no small potatoes. It's a big deal, President Trump.
They have no Navy. It's been knocked out. They have no Air Force. It's been knocked out. They have no air detection. That's been knocked out. Their radar has been knocked out. And just about everything's been knocked out.
Just about everything's been. They have no Air Force. They have no Navy. They had, and they did have one ship out in the Indian Ocean, and Pete Hegseth reported at an 8 a.m. Eastern Time press conference at the Pentagon today, along with the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who seems pretty great, actually, seems pretty plain-spoken and stuff. But there was a reporter there yesterday talking to President Trump. President Trump, he speaks and he talks to the reporters. He exhausts the reporters. Is all that good stuff. But let's go to number two. Hey, the Ayatollah was killed in an Israeli airstrike, and the U.S.-Israeli operation doesn't make a lot of difference who dropped the bomb when it comes to the jihad, because they're going to be angry at the great Satan and the little Satan. We're the great Satan. Israel is the little Satan. They are smaller geographically, certainly, and in terms of population. But the reporter, hey, who's going to be take over now, huh?
Do you have someone in mind right now? Because you said all the people you did have in mind have been taken out. What do you think?
Well, most of the people we had in mind are dead. So, we had some in mind from that group that is dead. And now we have another group. They may be dead also, based on reports. So I guess you have a third wave coming in. Pretty soon we're not going to know anybody.
Pretty soon, when there's a second wave, they may be dead too. According to this, I talked about this yesterday live on the radio. that there was a meeting of 88 or 90 of the senior clerics in Iran to decide who would become the new Ayatollah. And apparently Israel dropped a couple of bombs on the building they were in. They keep having these large gatherings, and every day is an IQ test, guys. You can't keep doing it. It keeps going badly for you. But isn't that amazing? Yeah. And they were talking yesterday about the son of the recently deceased Ayatollah taking over. He's a cleric as well. Taking over as the Ayatollah. Then there were reports that he had been killed. Then there were reports like Ahmadinejad that he got better again, and now he's fine. He's playing golf or something. I'm not dead. I'm on the ninth hole. And so we got that kind of, and it's going to be tough to get facts and truth out of there, because you tell the truth, they might throw you off a big, tall building and kill you when you go splat at the bottom. It's not the fall that kills you. It's the sudden stop. It's the sudden stop. President Trump yesterday, our NATO allies, a couple of them said, well, we're not going to let you use our air bases to strike the Ayatollahs and the mullahs in Iran, who are the world's leading terrorists. We're not going to let you because, and the reason is, in Spain, it's like they've been invaded by the Moorish forces again, and it's going to be 400 years of Reconquista in Spain once again. And in Great Britain, where the most popular name for a newborn boy in the country is Mohammed, and the second most popular name for a newborn boy in the United Kingdom is also Mohammed, but with a different spending. A different spelling. I'm watching dollar figures in front of me. But with a different spelling. They got Mohammed spelled this way, number one name. Mohammed spelled that way, number two name. And so the weak and feckless left-wing prime minister of Great Britain is afraid of his own Muslim population. In Spain, they're afraid of their own Muslim population. In Sweden, in Germany, they're afraid of their own population, Muslim population. In Poland, they're not, because they don't invite people in to come wreck their culture. And Polish culture is a great and wonderful culture. President Trump yesterday on some of our allies.
And now Spain actually said that we can't use their bases, and that's all right. We could use their base if we want. We could just fly in and use it. Nobody's going to tell us not to use it, but we don't have to. But they were unfriendly, so we're going to cut off all trade with Spain. We don't want anything to do with Spain. I'm not happy with the UK either. This is not Winston Churchill that we're dealing with.
This is not Winston Churchill. The Prime Minister of Great Britain is definitely not Winston Churchill. That's for sure. You ever see what Winston Churchill had written about the Mohammedans, about the Muslims and the Islamists? Back then, there were Islamists back then, too. But isn't that great? And Spain, hey, if we wanted to use the bases, we'd just fly in and use them. But they tell them not to. I like that. President Trump should tell them we're going to give them back to the Moors. The Moorish armies are rising again in North Africa. They're going to take logs over the Mediterranean and invade Spain again, which they did occupy for centuries. And in Europe, that's why they view things very differently. We don't have that kind of history that all of them, the Greeks, the Spanish, the Italians, the North Africans, the Muslims from Morocco to Egypt, a lot of history that we don't have here. And they kind of adapt, and they say, like in Greece. There are all kinds of great stories in Greece about the Nazis taking over and young men climbing the Acropolis and pulling down the Nazi flag and putting up the Greek flag. And one of the kids that did that became prime minister of Greece like 50 years later. Great stories. And you talk to the 20-year-olds there, and they say, Nazis were only here for like 5 years. That's nothing. We're Greece. Do you know how old we are? You kidding me? Come on, get out of here. And President Trump. One more quick one from President Trump about the Iranians. Suddenly, the Ayatollah called. Hey, is Donald Trump there? It's the Ayatollah.
You see, we were having negotiations with these lunatics, and it was my opinion that they were going to attack first. They were going to attack. If we didn't do it, they were going to attack first. I felt strongly about that.
I felt strongly about that. Apparently, you felt strongly about that. I think that would be fair to say. Really no doubt about that at this point. President of the United States, leader of the free world, felt strongly about that. And now the trajectory of human history has been altered because we are us. Although Democrat congressmen don't call us us, they call us them. Now, Iran, they cut this ridiculous non-deal with Barack Hussein Obama, who said, keep enriching uranium. By all means, keep spinning centrifuges. Do it underground in the side of a mountain where the IAEA can't get to it, the International Atomic Energy Agency under the UN can't get to it. And keep advancing your ballistic missile reach, your program there. Keep doing that. Steve Witkoff is President Trump's number one negotiator on these matters, or one of his top negotiators on Iran. And Steve Witkoff explained last night that he went and he was meeting with the Iranians on the lead up to this. And listen, they kept enriching uranium. They kept stockpiling uranium. Their only goal is to build nuclear weapons and kill all the Jews and the infidels and advance their ballistic missile program. Here's Steve Witkoff explaining that the Iranians admitted to him that they have 460 kilograms, 2.2 pounds, that have been enriched of uranium, enriched up to 60%, which is about a week away from being nuclear weapons ready. Steve Witkoff.
In that first meeting, both the Iranian negotiators said to us directly, with no shame, that they controlled 460 kilograms of 60%, and they're aware that that could make 11 nuclear bombs, and that was the beginning of their negotiating stance. So they were proud of it. They were proud that they had evaded all sorts of oversight protocols.
And then the Iranian deputy foreign minister was on with his friends at MS-13 this morning, and he bragged, we got 460 kilograms of enriched uranium.
When the question of plus 400 kilograms of 60% material was raised in the meeting, we were not bragging. We were just stating a fact.
We were not bragging. We were just, he objected to the fact that Steve Witkoff said they were bragging. But they have the nuclear materials with which to kill us all.